thank you, Arthur, and thanks everybody for being here. I'm gonna present some slides. So let me share my slides. I have shared them. Please let me know if you can see them.
Everything fine.
Is it fine?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So again, thank you everybody for being here. So the presentation is gonna be, divided in two parts. So I'm gonna start, and then Vincenzo is gonna go more in detail in the specific platform, which is called AIWave. So the topic is leverage language intelligence to create value for tourists. I will start, so please allow me to start, since I'm the tourist and destination expert, with a short introduction on why and what is tourism and why it's related and so important with the topic we are covering today. So up to until, let's say, 2019, tourism was one of the driving forces of the global economic growth and a lifeline for many economies. At all development stages, tourism contributes directly and through its multiplier effect, also indirectly to global job creation, economy recover, providing 1 in 10 jobs worldwide, and developing local economy and entrepreneurship. The large numbers that you can see here in the slide and the constant growth are a relevant aspect when defining the role of the tourism sector. 1.5 billion international visitors generating over 1.7 trillion US dollar in export, represented almost 1/3 of world services export and 7% of global export. This allows anyone to immediately understand how tourism was or is increasingly becoming something like a primary need for billion people all over the world. Let me say also another thing that is very important in the way we are approaching tourism, that economics is important, but it's just an aspect of the whole phenomenon. How many places, even we are in Italy, I am in Florence, but even if I'm not in a main tourist destination, how many places, even if a few kilometers from our home, the place that we are living, derive their identity, and in some cases, the only reason of their existing from tourism. So this rise of the sector in the recent decades has been so impetuous to invest deeply in the places which we live, and consequently increasing the awareness of its impacts. This slide is, let's say, a very short representation of that. Bibione is the greatest, in my opinion, example of how in almost more than a century, thanks to the decision to invest in tourism in the latest 50s and in the earliest 50s of last century, one of the most, let's say, abandoned and unhealthy area of the Mediterranean to be considered a restricted area. The first picture that you can see on your left, due to the risk of malaria at the end of the 19th century by the Austrians, because it was not Italy at that time, has become so prosperous to be the third tourist sea destination in Italy, counting almost 6 million pre-COVID visitors, including hundreds of thousands of Austrians visiting there. So the destination and only the places that have a ski slope, a beach, or an important archaeological site. The boundaries of tourism are expanding like wildfire from the main purposes to niche, hyper-personalized motivation, pushing people to visit a place. The consequence is that an increase in numbers of the territories touched by tourism are expanding widely, And this is the specific task or local governance to identify and choose the direction in which to move. And technology, so we are going to the technology side now, in this field has become an indispensable ally. So in fact, the development in IT revolutionized both economy and enterprises. Paradoxically, the more powerful and complicated IT become, the more user-friendly and inexpensive they are, and enabling more businesses and destinations to take advantage. Tourist sector symbiotic interaction with technologies since the 50s with the, who remembers them, computerized reservation system that became global distribution system, which are still existing and are still operating, are the basis of what became now the online travel agent, something like companies like Booking that maybe some of you already heard. So this symbiotic interaction with technology has been transforming the former industry. And it was trying to constantly adopt and benefit from the new technological advancements. It has profound implication for the management in the tourist industry. In few other economic activities, the generation, the gathering, the processing, the application and communication on information is as important as in tourism for day-to-day operation. And the re-engineering of these processes generates a paradigm shift, altering the structure of the entire industry. And the impact of IT are evident in the touring production, in marketing, in distribution, in operational funding, and so many other. I won't go in detail. But those have implications both for the private and for the public sector. And in particular, IT has pivotal implication for the distribution channels and the intermediation, which completely changed through and the different technology implication that and development that occurred during the last decades. As since even this, let's say, the definition of tourist is strictly related to the demand, because without a tourist, you cannot define, I should use the correct word, which is visitor, not tourist, but let's stick with the easy words. Without the tourist, you cannot understand what is tourism. So for this reason, this sector is really linked to what the demand side is defining, and that's why maybe most of the ChatGPT answers were related to the demand side. And information is, let's say, the lifeblood of the travel industry. So IT is really important and pivotal. The search for timely and precise information is a determining factor for individual and collective users in the process of mitigating the perception of risk, even if there are statistically objective or just perception. In tourism, risk mitigation is particularly important for a super variety of reasons, including the characteristic of the tourist product, intangible, inseparable between provider and consumer, and so on. And the development, the Web 2.0 in the early years of this millennium encouraged people to express their opinion about products and services through social media. And this became, and there is so much, let's say, so many studies, so much scientific literature that is focusing on the correlation between these contents, which are user-generated content, and sales. And in particular, I'm going in particular to talk about reviews, because it's the focus of how we are applying artificial intelligence for to create value for tourist decision makers. Online reviews of products or services have a significant impact on both consumers' purchasing decision and sales. And tourists is not only demonstrated how much this issue of reputation as a direct influence in the purchasing process, but also and increasingly in the way of approaching, experiencing a destination on site, and consequently entering into that process of involvement and trust, which is the real key of success for businesses and destination management operation. And we know that over the past decade, we added like a new appendix to our body, which is the smartphone, became such an integrated aspect of our anatomical structure that there are even osteoarticular side effects. It's called tech neck, a painful numbness in the neck and back linked to having the wrong posture while looking at the screen. So this, let's say, pervasiveness of those mobile devices also encompasses other kind of opportunities. And a prime example is the push of internet size. Google, for example, continually asking for opinion on the place recently visited. How was it? This kind of phenomenon has potentially increased the amount of the quality of what we call the digital human experience data, all the contents, those reviews, evaluations, comments, social posts, that collects fragments of customer experience, purchases, and relationship. Although this process of monitoring, processing, and analyzing this content is continually improved and updated, our company, like few companies, let's say, have a vocation integrated in our DNA to use artificial intelligence to interpret reality and consequently to allow for business to strategize effectively and drive success. And as we were saying, as the tourism looks like continuing steadily to bounce back from the pandemic, decision maker can reshape and rethink their industry by harnessing the unlimited potential of AI platform to deliver demand-based solution and data-driven insights. These are two pictures from Venice. This is the time of Carnival of Venice, and you see the difference in just a couple of years. So hopefully this bounce back is a reality and will be, even if those times are quite, difficult to predict. Let's go more in the core of the topic. So language intelligence for tourist decision maker. The example the case that I'm presenting to you is related to a machine learning model that analyze online text and provide a multi-class score, which is called sentiment index. This process, let's say, it's divided in two parts. I'm not a tech guy. I will try to be as much more precise as I can. The process starts from the definition of POI, this point of interest, which are defined like as economical, cultural, naturalistic, geographical point linked to a set of textual contents that can be retrieved and considered. We collect and monitor the digital presence of POIs through an analysis of 100 online platforms, from the very, let's say, generic ones like Google, the very sector-related ones like TripAdvisor, the specific one, industry one like Booking, Airbnb for hospitality, the Fork for food and beverage, and so on, the social medias, and blah, 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 blah. And we explore the characteristic and the relationship correlating these user-generated content with the POIs through a complex and automatic process which aims to build up what we call the digital identity of the POI. Of course, this process is really, really related to an experience that we have, as we said, from the very first beginning of our history, and also correlated to which is the scientific literature building up on this. And the crucial factor for the correct use, for example, of this data is the activation of data quality procedure to identify and possibly correct outliers, anomalies, and potential inconsistencies. And the data processes must be automatized with fast and precise algorithms. All the algorithms that are related to this process that we are using are proprietary algorithms with fast, as I said, and precise algorithms that are designed for specific problems to be monitored. Then the semantic analysis takes place, processing the textual context with the aims of providing a polarity score, which we call sentiment. Maybe you already heard about this, for each content, and identifying the main topics and the opinion connected with this topic. The algorithm is based on 3 models. I will go very briefly on them. The first one is called name entity recognition, which is related to how to classify word or phrases within categories. The second model is dependency parses, which analyze the grammatical structure of text. And the third one is maybe the one that you already know, is the natural language processing model that looks for nonlinear dependencies between the various words to understand at a computational level the logic that represents the satisfaction and the polarity of generic text. Of course, our idea to have a wide number of channels that we are monitoring to develop a process that can analyze natural language in the way that is written, even with the mistakes that are correlated in this kind of text in their original language, is really increasing the precision and the accuracy and the possibility also to have a value, positive or negative, for the fragments of the text. And this is something that is very important if you have to choose which of the providers you have to talk with to deliver a sentiment analysis. So I'm gonna now present a few let's say screenshots or parts of our products, just to show you effectively with a, let's say in a very visual way, how we are trying to answer potential questions which are related to tourist decision makers' day-by-day activities, and having scalable, georeferenced, and storified KPIs, a sentiment, and even other enables the application to for any area, even for destination whose boundaries do not necessarily follow administrative border, which is super important in tourism. In fact, even the literature has pointed out that administrative border or other political boundaries may potentially divide destination, in particular with respect to natural areas, and potentially hinder tourism development. This is very important, even if we are comparing that with the official data that everybody is using, like tourist flows in that everybody using in tourism, having not only national data, but going as subnational data, regional, provincial, and even at municipality. But even if we are analyzing a municipality like Milan or Florence, we have parts where tourism pressure is very high and some other parts are not. So having definition of destination that are related to which is our point of interest is very important. And since we are applicating in a scalable way to any point of this planet, this performance can be not only analyzed to the area that are of interest, but also to benchmark with other competitors which are interesting for my analysis and performance. And we can even go farther, since, as we said before, the starting point for us is the POI. This is a picture of the northern part of Gardasee, the Garda Lake, which is very, very important tourist destination for Italy. And this is for us very, very important, not only to point out that what we are aggregating at destination level can be also made with a specific product that we have for businesses, hotel, a restaurant or a chain of restaurants, attraction, a museum, and so on. But also at destination level, to build up a relationship with the stakeholder and share this quantitative and qualitative content, which are very, very important, and potentially to analyze anything that there is on an online map. As you can see here, when we analyze stories, we focus on these 6 industries. As I said, combining quantitative and qualitative KPIs and analysis. I'm gonna point it out, this quantitative analysis, because it's very, very interesting and was part also of my specific task when I start developing this kind of product for destinations. With the reference to the qualitative data, as you can see on the left part, several studies I conducted during the past 2 years in the collaboration with actual customer, which is nations like the Italian government, specific regions like Veneto or Tuscany, or other customers at sub-regional or even local level like municipalities. We see the strong correlation between changes in these bars that you can see in online content and tourist arrivals with, if you like statistic, person correlation coefficient that is always more than 0.9, is almost 1. So many of our customers of our destination are using online content as a proxy of the tourist arrivals, because tourist arrivals, since our official data, maybe they are not able to have this detail in terms of week, or having official data maybe 1, 2, 3, even 4 months later than the actual tourist flow. And also another thing that I want to share, the green light that you can see also on, still on the left side, is the sentiment. And as you can see, something that we are facing a lot, even in this part of the tourist history, when we are, as we say, bouncing back. The lowest point of our sentiment score, the satisfaction, let's say, perceived score, is always when the contents go to the top. And this is something we are trying also to share with the decision maker or tourists. Most of them have big numbers. We want to increase the numbers of visitors, but always remember that having point out that satisfaction is one of the main the motivation to people to come back. So and so this should be something that should enter in the strategic designing planning. And as you can see on the right part, some of the topics that we can work on to see which are the weaknesses and the strength of our territory or my business, to act specifically on investing or promoting, or even on communicating with our or your clients. And also going on, this is, I think, very, very easy to understand how deriving the characteristic of the users that wrote those online contents can derive very important characteristics of our market target or personas for marketing campaigns, for specific communication campaign, which are the languages, the travel origin, but also, for example, the traveler type, and see not only how to define the planning of our campaign, but also to understand if there is a result in terms of satisfaction and in terms of numbers of which are the target we are working on and investing our money. I'm almost to the end. Always is important, even if I said that this is a very difficult task nowadays to forecast something, but at least to having an outlook in the future, combining also those information still with artificial intelligence model with other kind of data, having the same characteristics, scalable, they must cover the entire planet, even at the cost of undermining accuracy and resolution. They must be georeferenced. For example, they must be localized on a map with a predicted precision. They must be storyified. So collecting this other data from other sources or even other providers allow decision makers, tourist decision maker, to have an outlook, for example, for the next February in terms of which are the event and which is the impacts of these events, correlated also, as you can see, with the arrivals through flights, with the analysis that we can have in monitoring online travel agencies. As we said, an example is Booking and or others, and correlating this can really give on real time what is going to happen in the next weeks, and also to correct maybe some of our action and of our strategies. This was the main core of, let's say, of the case that I wanted to share with you. Of course, I wanted to share, but I can see it very badly here. Okay, I wanted to share a couple of other things, but I think in the PDF everything is very bad to see. But let me briefly show you what I was trying to tell you. This is a part of an article that is published. There was a link also there, but you cannot see. But of course, we can share the slide if it's interesting for the audience. This is a proposed methodology to monitor, to use our, let's say, semantic analysis for a completely another person, not for tourist purposes, but for example, in this case, to monitoring the coastal areas of a region in Italy, which is Sicily. The study started with the idea of using reviews, rating, posts, not for marketing intelligence, but for example, to foster sustainability, which is a buzzword now in tourism, not only in tourism. The results show that this can lead to monitoring, for example, environmental situation to sites where there was no other kind of monitoring, using as basis as we said before, reviews, which are free available content posted by humans online, but processed and analyzed by artificial intelligence. And the regional government of Sicily took the results as one of the preliminary studies to enact the new regional plastic-free law for beaches and coastal areas. And this very first application opens, in my opinion, a brand new world for artificial intelligence analysis of human experience big data. Another example was the chatbots that we provided for Best Western, but I can see there is no evidence in the slide, so I think I can skip it, at least for the moment, and I will leave the floor to Vincenzo. And of course, I'm here for any question.
Thank you. Just a second. Okay. This is the presentation? Yes. Okay, thank you, Damiano. Damiano, I think that talked about how artificial intelligence can be used to analyze data to get very meaningful insight from the data that we can get, both structured data, but also from review, from unstructured data. Okay. As he said, the solutions that the TDA, as part of Almawave Group, are developing are part of our new proposition called AIWave. Before starting of this platform, just few words in order to explain what Almawave is in terms of group, because it started as a company, but now after let's say a first phase of merging and acquisition phase, we are a group, and TDA is part of our family. I like to talk about Almawave, let's say, through its technology history. Okay, we started before 2010 working on NLP project, so applying NLP to call center use cases, but we built an NLP suite of product that addresses main NLP use cases, so information retrieval, virtual assistant, and so on. Okay. Of course, we started with in 2010 with a symbolic approach, so mainly using ontologies, but we paired this approach with deep learning approach. So we started developing our own deep learning models to classify text, to extract information, and so on. And of course, in 2019, we started adopting transformers. Okay. In 2010 and 12, sorry, we dismantled our proposition and we rebuilt it in a cloud-native fashion. Okay, and this gave us the opportunity to think back, to think again our proposition. Okay, so from one side, now we are able to have a cognitive proposition, which is of course in a cloud native fashion, but can be deployed on premises fashion. Okay, but on the other side, most of all, we built a new offering called AIWave. Okay. AIWave is both a platform as a service proposition, but also a software as a service proposition. Platform as a service because AIWave hosts our cognitive propositions, our cognitive models, our cognitive technology, packaged as what we call bricks. Okay. The bricks are bundled in AI capabilities called boxes. Okay, so the boxes are bundle of bricks that can be used to develop specific type of AI application. Okay, so we have a box to build virtual assistants. We have a box to build information retrieval or discovery systems, but we also have a box that can be used to develop a solution that can leverage on voice as a source, okay, of source information. So we are talking about speech analytics solution, for example, but also for AI application that want to use the voice to interact with the applications. Okay. And of course, a comprehension box that contains all the bricks. So in terms of capabilities, all the stuff needed to extract information from document, from conversation, to automatize business processes. Okay. So this is our platform as a service offering. Okay. On the other side, we have another. AIWave is also a software as a service proposition, and this is what we called AI Easy. Okay, AI Easy are a set of vertical application that solves specific use cases using AI capabilities, of course, AI techniques, AI model that AIWave itself provides. And I think that the cases that Damiano explained before are AI Easy. Okay, just to, let's say, give you some something to understand what AIWave is. Okay. But what AIWave contains, okay? AIWave, as we like to say, is all you need for developing and using AI, okay? As you can see in the top of this picture, we have the four pillars of our proposition, the ones that I explained before, okay? And of course, we have all the pieces needed to create data, okay, to augment data, to annotate data. We have all the technology to train NLP models, okay? And of course, these models can be served, okay, using the platform itself as a AI as a service in an AI as a service fashion. But of course, the same model can be used to build a more complex application like virtual assistant. So I can train a model that can be used in a virtual assistant. Of course, the platform has all the tools to code the virtual assistants, not only in terms of natural language processing capabilities, but also from a dialogue point of view. So we have a no-code dialogue editors to build the logic, okay, the flow of a virtual assistant, and all the things to integrate, and of course, information retrieval system and speech-to-text systems, but also all the stuff needed to integrate engagement systems in order to deploy a virtual assistant on engagement channels like, I don't know, WhatsApp, Telegram, and so on, but also all the stuff needed to integrate sources, okay? And this is very important for us, all the tools needed to monitor the application in terms of performance, but also in terms of AI performance, okay? But also in terms of explainability, okay? And both explainability and composite AI are, let's say, perhaps the most important aspect of our proposition, something that I think can distinguish us from other platforms that, of course, we are not the first and will not be the last in the market. Explainability is very important because most of the system, and for example, ChatGPT, if you want, is one of these examples. Lack of the capability to trace, let's say, the real source of the answers that are provided. Okay, and we think that at enterprise level, this is a very important feature. Okay, and on the other hand, composite AI. We don't, as I mentioned before, we started with ontologies. We adopted deep learning model, transformers, GPT-3 now, and so on. But for us, all these models are just tools, okay? Tools that we combine to build a real proposition, a proposition that address the issues, the use case of our customer, but let's say but having let's say considering the cost of AI, of deploying an AI model. Okay, all of us, like all let's say billion parameters models that let's say are exhibiting a huge performance, but there is a cost behind this model. So we want to use let's say the right model, a combination of the right model, okay, in order to achieve better results, okay, but maintaining the cost in a specific perimeter. Okay, that's all from me, from my side. I don't want to, I think it's time to talk.
Cool. Thank you very much, everybody. That was mind-blowing to me. I'm really intrigued. Thank you again. I have just a question that came to my mind. How do you handle multilingualism in your system, in your specific system? Is it or multilinguality? Is it more language agnostic, or is it how do you do it?
No. Of course, our platform is a multilingual platform. We support more than 13 languages, and we let's say the multilingual support is provided by any of the model and technique that we provide. For example, ontologies. Okay, we provide support for multilanguage support ontologies, but also all our deep learning model are multilanguage by design. Just to give you an example, because of course we like a lot of this deep learning technology, but just to give you an example of a multi-language application, we built a system for let's say a public company to extract information from the PNRR documents, okay, written by all the European countries. Okay, so I want to understand what Spain is thinking, no, in terms of, I don't know, tourism. Okay, and so they put the question in Italian, but the system is able to gather, to retrieve semantically the right documents, highlighting, extracting the right sentences that that will answer to the question. Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe we open the Q&A round to everybody after I declared myself first. We can submit the questions through the chat, I think. But while we're doing that, my other question would be, I think Damiano, you had it on the site talking about sustainability in tourism. I mean, this is one of the main subjects right now. It's the buzzword, or it's not only a buzzword. It's the most important thing that we have right now. How do you support it? I got it a little, but I didn't get the bridge quite well.
Yeah. So in terms of sustainability, of course, our company is really considering fundamental, but not just because it's our company, but the importance of sustainability in tourism has been significantly advancing in the recent year, following the need to manage the impact of tourism territories and hosting communities. It was further boosted by the pandemic, where sustainability has been defined by UN WTO as one of the central elements to restart the global tourism. Considering the fundamental importance of sustainability on tourism, it is indispensable, it is super needed, that is principle to be adopted by any type of destination to manage and mitigate the impacts. Moreover, this consequently means that we have to measure sustainability. If you don't measure sustainability, you cannot be sustainable. And together with its elements, the governance, the environmental impact, the economic impact, and the social cultural influences, and needs to be the way to make a strategic objective. So we worked as a pilot test for the Sicilian government for this kind of stuff, but also we had an idea of creating a synthetic indicator, which is not an aggregation, that is geo as everything we do, georeferenced and related to scalable sources to be applicable to any territory in the world. And we developed, and we are still, putting on process this tourist sustainability index, which is a proprietary KPI that will allow cities, regions, countries, as we said, with these borders and definition without even outside the administrative border around the world to increase awareness and measure and benchmark the state of health, sustainability, and quality of light. You used the as a benchmark the ETIS system, the European Tourist Indicator System, that maybe some of you know, which was developed by the European Commission as a reference point. However, since it's based mostly on a self-assessment, the data collection and the analysis of tourist destination by their manager, global up-to-date data was not available. So our methodology was even recently published in a peer-to-peer publication in a journal that is called Sustainability. And through the article, we explore how we developed this index, and we integrated in that the sentiment analysis technique. Because in quantitative side, as we said, it was important to go over the specific tourist flow, which sometimes at sub-national or sub-regional or local level are not available, but also because even from the beginning, the early 90s, the latest 80s, when we were talking, when the tourist sector was start thinking about carrying capacity, the satisfaction of visitors, or let's say of user of a territory, should be included. So we really pushed to have something that was related to our sentiment, which is, as we said, the KPI, which is including the satisfaction of people having an experience in the territory. So there is a synthetic indicator, but also, as Ed is suggesting, the indicator include pillars, which are governance, social, economical, environmental impact, and so on, and even subcomponents, which are applicable to any destination. And the first result, the first test that we applied to different destinations in Italy show that this can be a consistent tool. So we are really start working on applying this to specific destination to start measuring sustainability, which is, in our opinion, the only way to foster real sustainability and to assess real sustainability.
Very good. Thank you much. I see a hand raised by Mikael, so I'll give him the word to have his question.
Yeah, sure. Hello, guys. Thanks. Yeah, my question was more for Damiano, because I had previous experience in tourism, and especially with the topic of online reputation, online reviews. And I know the topic of fake reviews, like from competitors, or also, for example, hotels, asking their employees to write fake reviews to increase the online reputation score. My question was, we see that also with content, with ChatGPT or AI will generate content way easier, and isn't there a risk that we will see an explosion in terms of fake online reviews for destination, hotels, restaurants, where you can duplicate and having a lot of very specific topics being covered on those reviews?
It's a very interesting question, because it's something that everybody's asking me to when we share that we are somehow touching this topic of reviews. It's very interesting because it's also frauds. It was a result of ChatGPT, as Arthur was showing before. So maybe the fraud itself, it's a ChatGPT input and output. So it's very interesting that. But anyways, I have different let's say answer to that. Let's start with empirical ones. Most of the content that we are getting are from Google. and this is allowing to, let's say, contain this phenomenon, because for maybe you know that on Google Maps you can put just one review, because it is linked to one user, one review for every point of interest. And this is really a way to, let's say, moderate something that happened, for example, to other channel, which is, maybe we know all of them, TripAdvisor, with that had this kind of problem. But for us, in terms of which are the content that we are analyzing, TripAdvisor counts now for less than 5% in average in the content. So this is really reducing that kind of risk. And the channels themselves are really working to, let's say, erase this kind of, so deleting the specific reviews, because it's very important for them to be a content of, let's say, important judgments or reviews or comments for anyone else. And another thing that I want to share with you, and I think it's very important also to mention, that we are collecting millions of contents online. So this, let's say, part of fake reviews is just, in our estimation, a very, let's say, even decreasing part, even if the risk of ChatGPT, or let's say fake content of fraud, as ChatGPT itself named it, can be interesting. And last thing, our name, even if we are not even just a family, but we are part of Almawave, is talking about data appeal company. So we are trying to talk about the appeal. And even if some part of the reviews are fake, are still a point of interest, changing the opinion of the reader. So in somehow we have also to include them, because we are, let's say, faking what a tourist or a potential tourist is doing when deciding where to go or what to do when it's on site. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was very clear and very interesting.
Very cool. I think Leo Klein also wanted to join or ask a question. Is that right, Leo? I'm just asking you, or if not, that's fine. Good. Philip, you have another question maybe for our people on the panel. I have another one. What if, for example, a city like Berlin likes to really getting to business? If I convinced everybody in Berlin to have this application suite established all over the place, how large would that project be? How long would it take to have it established on a regional basis?
Maybe Vincenzo? Or
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It of course depends, because of course we have, from, let's say, from NLP capabilities, we have all the tools that of course can shorten the time of a project. Okay. As I mentioned before, if you have to code a virtual assistant, you can leverage on already built models, but you can build your own in a very simple way. Okay, using our platform, the dialogue can be coded with a no-code editor, so it's very simple. Okay, so of course, most of the in our let's say in our experience, the real problems is to put on the table the right subject matter expert, okay, and to obtain the data, okay. And in most of the cases, the problem is that customer think to have the data, but in reality they don't have real data so we have to put a lot of effort to transform data, okay. So there is no very, let's say, simple and direct question. I have to be honest to this answer, but of course
I thought so. But it's
May I add a very short thing?
Oh yes.
We had visit Berlin as a customer, I think last year. So we already developed something. I wanted to say, of course, for some specific, let's say, AI easy projects, we have already some product that can be implemented very easily. Of course, we are talking about, if we are talking, as Vincenzo say, a more holistic project, of course, there is anything that must be put on the table. So, but I just wanted to make this remark because we already have a relationship with Visit Berlin, since you mentioned it.
Very